Hey, what's going on, everyone? A while back I made a video on how to print and cut using Adobe Illustrator, and I had a couple of questions on how I made the cut lines in that video. So I'm making this video to kind of give an explanation of how I did that. So first thing, I have Adobe Illustrator already open. I'm going to go to File, New, and my width and height is going to be the same size as the transfer sheet that I would print this project on. It's going to be 8.5 by 11. When this pops up, if you don't already have your ruler available to you, if you hit Control R, that'll bring that up, and that's going to give you a visual of where your margins will be. If you have a printer that doesn't print border to border, mine only prints with a half an inch about to the outside, so this gives me a visual of where my margins are going to be. So we'll come over here and I'll put a fill on this just so you can see it. Get the rectangle tool and go to roughly inside where my margins would be. I'm not actually going to print this, so if it's not exact, that's fine. You're going to want it to be exact, so you don't go outside of your printing area. Once we have our rectangle, I'm going to go to File, Cut Master 2, Registration Marks. Your box pops up. We're going to hit Convert Rectangle, OK, and that made a new layer, and you can see we have our 4 registration marks. Now what we want to do is bring our design in. Excuse me. We're going to go to File, Place, and this is what we're going to be. This is what I printed and cut last time. The design. This is this can be a JPEG. I had a question about that too. It can certainly be a JPEG. You definitely want it to be as high a resolution as you can, because it's going to print how it looks. So if you made your file in Photoshop and saved it as a JPEG, that's perfectly fine. I'm just going to lock that because we won't have to do anything with that layer, and we can name this design. Now we want a new layer. This is going to be our cut lines. You don't have to name that if you don't want to, but if you have a lot of things going on, it's nice to know what your layers are. So to make the actual cut lines, what we want to do is, you can do it with a rectangle tool, round or ellipse tool, star tool. All of these are vectors, and that's what the plotter actually reads when it's cutting. The pen tool gives you by far the most freedom because you can manipulate it when you drag out a line, and I'm going to show you what I mean here. So we'll click there. There's our first anchor, and here's our second anchor. It's just a straight line. We'll click again, make another anchor point, and say we want to go around this wick because we don't want to cut right through it. When we click on the other side, if you hold and drag it out, you can make your curved line. Then go back and click on it so it doesn't give us a funky line afterwards. And if you're familiar with the tool, it takes a little bit of time to get a good idea of how to use it. I'm not a master with it by any means. If you do a lot of graphic design, you will use this a lot. It's an awesome tool, but it does take a little bit of time to figure it out. And this, I'm not actually going to be cutting this, so it's more of just to give you an idea of how you can create the lines and how I do it. And like I said before, the plotter is going to follow these lines, and that's why they're important. So if you do like some squigglies, you're going around something else, another object, depending on the complexity of your design, throw another little curve. The plotter is going to follow, it's going to go from this, well, it's going to start here at this anchor point, and it's going to follow the line to that anchor point, and then go to this anchor point, and then to get to this anchor point it's going to make this curve, you know, all the way around, and then you definitely want to connect them. If you're actually, if I was actually cut this, I definitely wouldn't want that little loop-de-loop there, because you don't want it to really go over the top of your line. But just for visual sake and how I actually made those lines, this is how I did it. So another thing, it doesn't matter what size stroke this is. If you can see, I'll kind of zoom in here. The plotter isn't going to, it doesn't really even know that actually this exists outside of this line. It's only going to know that this line is there, okay? So whether that's 7 points or 1, it doesn't know how thick that line is. It only knows that that ensign vector line is there. So from here, once you have your cut lines, you're pretty much ready to rock. The thing that you're going to want to do though is, before you send this to the printer, you want to turn those cut lines off, because you don't want those printed on your design. So from here, you send her to the printer, and it's going to print exactly like that. It's going to print your design and your registration marks. If you have any questions, if you need something to be a little bit more clear, please, by all means, let me know. So if you enjoyed this video, please like it, give thumbs up, subscribe. That'll give me a lot more incentive for sure to make some more cool videos. There's a ton of information to be learned here, and I'd love to share it. So till next time, take care.